attacker. So I'm opposed to the way all this is going on. I understand the why, but I don't like the how. And what you're telling me about what's going on in Crimea, this is the first time I've heard that, and it's very sad. What is now with the Russian people on the whole? What's the sentiment?
A poll was taken last week by an independent firm here in Russia. 77% approval rating for Vladimir Putin. 77% approval. There is opposition, Gerald. I want to make that clear. There is opposition. Some of it is being suppressed because it's disrupting ordinary life. And that's no different than in the United States. I have been a peace activist for many, many years. When I was in the States, I used to belong to the Veterans for Peace. And I documented many of their actions and many of their activities. I interviewed many people from a variety of peace groups, anti-nuclear groups, etc. And so my role, like you, is a fighter. I don't have a black belt, but I'm using my abilities of a filmmaker, a documentarian, to fight this narrative and the false narrative of American exceptionalism, America's undeclared wars, and really genocide. It's genocide they've been committing since the beginning of this country, really.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's again, as I said, they're calling Bush a war Putin a war criminal. Yeah, like I said, bring Obama, Bush, Clinton, Nixon, Lyndon Johnson, Franklin Roosevelt, Woodrow Wilson. Keep bringing them all in there. It's one war criminal after another.
Yeah.
And I'm totally. It gets this. I'm very concerned about where this is going, in the sense that I really believe this is the beginning of World War III.
Oof. I hope not.
Well, again, hope is, hope
but here's,
is, hope is, the hatred that the American people have for the Russians, it's been going on all our lives, and now they're building it up and building it up and building it up. Again, to make this 100% clear, what's going on in Ukraine and Russia is none of my business as an American. There was a man by the name of George Washington, a real fighter, not like these little boys that couldn't fight their way out of a paper bag, that love war. And his farewell address is no foreign entanglements. Not to get involved in any other countries, like them, hate them, don't get involved in them. Don't take a position. We have no right to be involved in this. That's the bottom line. What's going on between Russia and Ukraine is not my business. This country's rotted here. The roads are rotted. The rail is a joke. 61% of the people living paycheck to paycheck. You can't afford to buy a home. Oh, and you're going to tell me how you're going to fix the problem in Ukraine? So that's the bottom line with me. It's none of my business.
Yeah. You asked me where I thought this was going. I'll tell you. On one level, it's a civil war between the Donbass and Kiev, the separatist regions. On another level, it's a proxy war between the United States and Russia. In fact, I think it is a war between the United States and Russia. Some people have been talking, Gerald, about how Russia wants to divide Ukraine, take back certain sections of it, and leave the rest of it on its own. I don't think that's the case. I see a higher geopolitical landscape, that this conflict in Ukraine has to be kept going by the United States because of something very important that is hardly talked about and reported. On February 4th, President Xi of China and Putin issued a 5,000-word statement Bottom line, they declared a multipolar world without war but diplomacy, respecting the strict observance of international law and the UN Charter. Now, what China has seen is this greater Eurasian landmass or continent from Beijing all the way to Portugal. The one bridge, one road, economic corridor, development corridor, bimodal corridor, uniting this entire landmass. What that means is the United States as hegemon is over, and the United States knows it. And this is where Russia and China and India, Pakistan, the BRICS nations, and some 20 or 30 other nations, mostly in the Southern Hemisphere, this is the future that they see. And I think it's the epic battle for the future order of the world. Unipolar world, multipolar world.
Well, you know, I keep saying that the 20th century was the American century. The 21st century is going to be the Chinese century, because the business of America has been war, and the business of China is business. So I see what you're saying. Thank you so much, Regis, for being on. You've given some great insights and observations. And, you know, the propaganda war between the U.S. and Russia, that's Ukraine. It's the propaganda war. And this is going to continue to escalate, I'm afraid. And America is going to do everything they can to keep expanding it. They're sending more troops into NATO. We have over 100,000 troops there already. And my great fear is that if we don't have peace, we're on the verge of World War III. You know, when we were kids, they teach us in school that World War I began when the Archduke Ferdinand was assassinated in Sarajevo. You know, what's a Sarajevo and who's the Archduke, you know? It's all leading up to that. And I'm concerned that there's going to be a false flag or a real flag that the United States is going to rush into war. And by the way, there are no peace movements going on in America about this.
Right,
It's only hate movements. And the global economy is really suffering from the sanctions that Biden has put on and NATO has put on, NATO countries have put on Russia. And you're feeling it in Crimea. We're feeling it all over. The gas prices here. I went to fill my car up this past weekend, $80, you know, $80. And for a person, you know, that's, you know, working in Walmart or Costco or Starbucks or McDonald's or all these places, Home Goods, Home Depot, this is real. This is killing them. You know, it's hurting them. You know, they can't afford this. Gas prices, electric prices, everything's skyrocketing because of this. So as I always say, when all else fails, they take you to war. And I'm concerned that when the economies fail, they're going to ramp us up to war. So thank you for what you're doing, and keep spreading the word of peace as well. Thanks so much.
Thank you for having me, and thank you for all you are doing with your show and with your peace movement. All the more power to you, Gerald.
Thank you so much. All the best.